My name is Mary Carnahan, and I am an e-learning resource specialist with the Indiana Department of Education, and I just want to welcome you all to today's webinar, Connecting with Google Apps. And I'm really excited to have Chris Atkinson joining us for this call, and I will get to him in just a minute, but first I'm going to do some housekeeping things. The first is just kind of an etiquette thing. Please make sure that you leave your phone muted. Everybody should have come on the line muted, and if I see any phones that aren't muted, I'm going to go ahead and mute them just so we don't have any background noise. That way you can, if you need to chat or something in the background, you can without interrupting anybody on the call. So please do that. Also, please use the chat window to share questions for Chris as we go through, or comments, or just share things that you're doing in your school with the other participants. Also, you might have questions for other participants, not just for Chris. So if anybody has something to share, please definitely use that chat window for that. So this is, October is Connected Educator Month, and that is a national initiative which is supporting educators learning and collaborating through online communities and social networks, and we're really excited to be a state participant in that, and along with that we've got several events, but today is the first of those. We also have 2 webinars coming up next week on Monday and Tuesday. Monday's webinar is Customized Learning, and we have 3 schools who have been working on changing their learning environment in their schools and really moving to the customized and personalized learning environment. And they will be talking about what they've done and hopefully giving you all some ideas. So please join us for that. And then on Tuesday, we are going to have a conversation with Dave Burgess, who is the author of Teach Like a Pirate. And we are actually reading that book right now for our e-learning book club. So if you would like to join us for the webinar, please do. And we're also, it's not too late to participate in the book club. Pop in, and we'd be happy to, we'd love to hear your comments and see what you think of the book too. So, and we also have the Day in the Life of a Connected Educator Challenge that we're doing. And information about all of these things can be found from our website. You can either go to the DOE homepage and search for e-learning up in that chat box or in that search box, or you can, our URL is just doe.in.gov/elearning. But from our homepage, if you click on professional development, that will take you to all of our professional development opportunities. And I did not update the screenshot, but right now on our homepage there is a link straight to our A Day in the Life of a Connected Educator Challenge. So please check that out and see if you have any ideas on how you would like to share how you are connected virtually. We also every week have a Twitter chat, and that's on Thursday nights. Oh, I didn't include the time there. Sorry about that. It's Thursday nights at 8. I'll include that in the chat window. Thursday nights at 8 Eastern, sorry. And this week the topic is around our 1-year anniversary. So please feel free to check that out using the INELearn hashtag on Thursday night, and definitely connect with us via our Twitter handle there at INELearn. And now, without any further ado, I want to introduce to you our presenter for the day, Chris Atkinson. Chris is an assistant principal in Carmel Clay Schools. He's an elementary assistant principal, and he is also a Google Certified Educator and has done webinars for us before, and we're really excited to have him back talking about how you can be connected using Google Apps. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Chris. Now, one thing that I need to note for you guys as I do this is that when he shares his PowerPoint presentation, you will lose the chat window. So what you will need to do is there will be a green bar at the top of the screen, and you need to mouse over that green bar and then click on the chat box, and that will open up, or the chat icon, and that will open up your chat window again. And again, please use that chat window to ask questions, make comments, and we'll have some time at the end of the webinar today to review any questions that Chris didn't answer throughout the presentation. So again, please keep yourselves muted and share questions, and I'm turning it over to Chris now. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Chris. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks for joining us. I don't have the chat window open right now, so if I don't catch something you're saying, I know Marie's going to catch some too. So I'm glad you were able to join us today. Today's topic is connecting with Google Apps. It is Connected Educators Month, and so I'll go into that a little bit later too. And just make sure this is moving. There we go. I firmly believe in setting learning targets for students, and I also believe we got to set them for adults too. So here are your learning targets for today, and hopefully you walk away being able to do these things. I can find and use various Google tools to deeply connect learning for myself and my students. I can find inspirational Google ideas to explore further. And so I'm going to just put this down for just a minute. So this is you. Some of you responded, and I've got 7 responses of different people, and I put a link in the chat. If you want to just give me a response as to what your experience is. We've got teachers from all different levels, it looks like, some that have a lot of experience with certain tools, some that may not. And so hopefully today's presentation, you'll be able to get something out of it. We'll do just the basics, but we will also cover some advanced stuff that I hope may not make sense right away, but hopefully gives you some inspiration to go back and try something later on your own. So if you haven't filled that out, you can. If so, no big deal. Agenda and links. There is an agenda and some links that I think will be helpful for you to kind of hold on to. The agenda looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and paste that link in the chat right now because I think it's important to kind of follow along with. So all these different links, all the slides you can click on too, and the presentation slides are right here. And so this will kind of be your guide. I gave up on rough times because I just couldn't hold to the estimates I was putting myself to. So we'll play it by ear with that one. I've got plenty of content and more if we need some. So a little bit about myself. My name is Chris Atkinson. You can find me on Twitter at Chris L. Atkinson. I blog for edreach.us, and I also do some personal blogging at Chris L. Atkinson. I do some podcasting on EdReach, also a daily show called the Ed Admin Minute. It's a 1 to 3 minute podcast called a microcast is what we would call it. That basically is aimed at administrators and leadership. So it's a great resource, and hopefully you can check it out. This is my holding slide for a little bit about me. I am an assistant principal at Collegewood Elementary in Carmel, Indiana, and I wear many hats as the man in the corner you see there. Originally from Ohio, moved to Indiana, went to school, did my undergrad at Taylor, my master's at Ball State. I am a Google Certified Teacher. I have a passion for educational technology and consider myself to be a lifelong learner. So, Marie put a plug in for this earlier, but I serve on the Indiana e-learning leadership cadre, and one of the things that we tend to get involved in sometimes is that Thursday night chat, and it's a great way to really get connected to other Indiana educators online. So check it out on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, make sure you join this month during Connected Educator Month and follow the hashtag IndianaELearn, I-N-E-Learn, and Thursday nights at 8. Again, EdReach, I always have to give a plug for EdReach. It's a great source for all kinds of professional development, edreach.us. Make sure you check that out, and I think I put the link in the agenda also. I get questions a lot about what's a Google Certified Teacher. Well, every year they take around 50 educators across America to be accepted into the Google Teacher Academy, where we take a couple days to train on all their applications. The training is not necessarily what the most important part is, but you truly get connected to a Google Certified Teacher community where we're in constant contact with Googlers and other Google Certified Teachers, where we have a a deep PLN that works really hard together on various initiatives. And so, no, I get paid absolutely no money by Google. I did once get a Chromebook, and my 3-year-old son, who was 3 at the time, he's now 4, dropped it, and so it no longer works. So it's fine. that's my one thing. We have 70 slides remaining. I know that seems overwhelming, doesn't it? But we will go at a hearty pace to try to get done in the 45-minute time span. I mean, I've got my clock in front of me, and so I will try to get you out of here on time. And whatever I don't get to, you can check out later. Again, you know, one of our I can statements is you can find some inspiration from what you hear today. So why Google Apps for Education? What's the difference between a regular Google account and a Google Apps for Education account? Some of you responded. Maybe you can respond in the chat. Are you a Google Apps for Education school? Do you know if you are? If so, you know, throw that in the chat, and we'll see how many people are Google Apps for Ed school. But why would we actually look at Google Apps for Education? This video, I was so excited, and I always look to update my content and slides because I do a lot of presentations throughout the year on Google Apps for Education. This particular one just came out yesterday, which I was really excited about because I think it's a really great story about the power of using Google Apps for Education in school. So I'm going to attempt to play it. It's a minute 54 long, and I don't know how the sound will go, but hopefully it works out pretty well. We'll see.
I would describe Point England as a community more than the traditional school concept. This community is a community of diversity with mostly Pacifica and Māori people.
Our kids start school with an academic performance age of 3 years when they are 5. So they've got a lot of catching up to do.
Google Apps for Education opened a world of amazing possibilities. We were able to work collaboratively, and it broke apart the barriers of the 9 to 3 school day. We're using Chromebooks in our classrooms. We love the way that when the children sign in, they're straight into their Google Apps account and they just start learning.
So I think it bridges that gap between making it, this is only what happens at school, like it was in our day. It becomes part of lifestyle rather than something you do and then you stop doing.
Literacy has been a really important part of Point England School. Google Docs has been a great enabler for them, being able to collaborate with their peers, with teachers, with adults, and we're seeing not only engagement but actual literacy outcomes improve. Children who have access to the internet are actually able to manage their own learning. It gives them the opportunity to be the best they can be.
It's so wonderful to see parents coming in to learn what their children are doing at school, to learn with their children and about their children. In Māori, we would say this is about whānaungatanga. It's about all of the family and all of the community.
This has made a huge difference to the opportunities that they will have in the future.
Okay, so I hope everyone was able to hear that and follow along. I think it's a great video and truly shows the power of using Google Apps. And I love in that video how they talk about connecting home and school, and that it kind of breaks down a little bit of a barrier because kids are using it everywhere they go because it's all cloud-based. If you know Yancey Younger, he shared this at a presentation I went to a few years ago, but I asked him if I could borrow it in mine because I love it. He was in an Indiana school and saw this in the boys' restroom, and I think it shows us, you know, why as connected educators we have to find greater tools of engagement in the right ways for rigorous learning. So broken doors, broken dreams, broken school, broken kids. We certainly don't want our students feeling that way in school. And I always love this quote, right? Insanity's doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. So this is not new to the generation that we serve as educators. They are connected, and we have to serve a connected generation. We cannot be unconnected. And so Google Apps bridges that gap of connectivity. So what's the difference between Google Apps for Education and a public account? Well, many of you probably have public accounts, and some of you probably have Google Apps accounts. I like this slide because it shows the difference for me. When you look at it, you know, you see that @gmail.com. Well, that's a public account. If you have something, for example, and sometimes people don't know if they have a Google Apps for Ed account or they don't, if you have something that ends in your school district, like @ccs.k12.in.us or @ whatever your school district is in Indiana, and that is how you log into Google products, then you have a Google Apps for Ed account. And so it's okay to have multiple accounts, but as we're talking about Google Apps for Ed, that's how you know whether or not you have that account. What's the difference too? Through Google Apps for Education, and this is new within the last year, you get 30 gigabytes of shared storage per user. And this is all free. This is Google's philanthropic, or however you would say that, effort to basically reach out to the community and further lifelong learning and education. And so they actually charge businesses for Google Enterprise apps, but they charge them for the same thing they give to schools for free. So that's a lot of storage if you think about it per user across all of your accounts. I have thousands and thousands of documents, and I've not even come close to scratching the surface of 30 gigabytes. And the difference, well, control and management. So in Google Apps for Education, you truly have greater control and management as an administrator in regards to how you control accounts of students and accounts of staff. So when we talk about sharing, you can actually decide whether or not you're going to let your staff share inside the domain or outside the domain. You can tell, okay, I want just high school students to be able to share outside of the domain, and elementary students only inside of the domain. So you have a lot of availability in regards to how you do that. This is just an example of what the admin panel looks like. Another great thing is you actually see real-time reports. So, showing you how many total documents are created. This is one of many different reports that you can pull up as an administrator in the Google Apps for Ed side. You also can actually tailor what users get to use what certain Google Apps. And so there's actually all 62 plus of them that you can manage and enable. There's the core 6, and then there's over 50 that you can add on to the core 6. And so you can enable or disable those per user or per group of users. So another advantage of Google Apps for Education. I know that was a breeze through, but when we talk about the difference between a public Google account and Google Apps for Ed account, that hopefully shows you one of the differences. You truly have that privacy and security feature as a Google Apps for Ed user that you don't necessarily have in a certain way with a public account. And so it's great for schools, and it's free, so you can't go wrong with that. It is Connected Educator Month, and we are talking about how to connect using Google Apps. And hopefully as you're looking at the agenda and kind of browsing through links, the first part of our journey is going to be connecting with Google Docs. If you've never used Google Docs before, this link right here will actually open a demo page. So when you click it, and please do with me, and if you're in the agenda, I put the demo link in there too, you should start to see users pop up here once they log in and actually click into the document. And you will see real-time collaboration. So feel free to start typing so people kind of understand what that looks like if they've never seen it before. And you saw that in the video that I was playing. You saw that ability of real-time collaboration. When we talk about that, I think people who have not seen Google Docs before or not used it truly don't understand it. But this is the only tool out there that's really going to provide the best real-time collaboration you can get in an editing environment. So when we talk about collaborative writing and many other things that I'll share in a bit, that's what amazing power that has. So great place to kind of get started, and I'm going to go through just a few more other things in regards to that. So we talk about sharing. One of the things that you can do in Google Docs is you can share. And so when you share a document, you have lots of different options. This is on my public account. When you share in a Google Apps for Ed account, you have even more options, such as just sharing with people in your domain or sharing with just certain people. You can type email addresses to kind of share. For example, I'm going to go to my, hopefully you can see this. I'm going to demo this. This is my Apps for Ed account. And when I go to share, you're going to see when I go to share this document, I better name this before sharing, new doc. You'll notice that when I hit change, I can share this with people at Carmel Clay Schools so they can search and find for it. People at Carmel Clay Schools with just a link, so they have to be logged in order to actually search and find it. I can make it anyone with the link, which is like an unlisted phone number. If I just send that link, anyone can access it. And when I do that, I can actually choose to allow those people with the link to edit, comment, or view. So they wouldn't even necessarily need a Google Apps Spread account, which is why many of you are on that demo doc right now typing. I can make it public on the web if I want to. So you can see the various options you have when you share a document. The one thing I like, too, when you actually share, and I'm going to hit cancel here, and I start typing in a name of an individual. Now, we sync our directory, our district directory, with Google Apps Spread. And so when I start typing names, I get lots of people to choose from. And when you think about elementary students, you might have a hard time remembering what the email address is. All they have to do is start typing the first few letters of a student's name, and they're able to pop up and share that document with that student, especially when we talk about a junior high and high school student. And when we talk about BYOD, right, this becomes a great equalizer in that playing field, because now you truly have a tool that's cross-platform. It can be accessed on mobile. There's an iOS app, Google Drive app. There's an app for Android devices that allows you to actually have the real-time collaboration also. So hopefully you saw in the demo document, you saw in the video, what that real-time collaboration looks like. What you didn't see in the demo document was the fact you saw anonymous user. But when you're actually logged in and sharing the document, you get to see the names of the people that are typing and where they're typing on the document. You probably saw in the video too, in that top right-hand corner, you actually, if pictures are synced up with the account, you actually can see the picture of the user that's using that also. So this link right here, and I put that in the agenda also, will take you to a PowerPoint that someone else created through Google Apps for Education, but it's shared often, and they encourage us to reshare it. It's a great just slideshow of 40 different ways to start using apps in schools. And there are lots of different things on there, just in general, different ways, collaborating on lesson plans, keep a running record of meeting notes, just lots of various ideas for you. I'm going to share some personal ideas ways that I've used it. So collaborative writing, homework, project-based learning, reading response, book clubs. Again, this list is just a sample, but truly, the list is exhaustive. You can think of lots of different ways that Google Apps can be used. 40 uses for Google Apps in the classroom. Again, that link is down there. Also, this is a Google Drawings. This is a Facebook template that if you search the template gallery, you can pull it up and students can make it their own and go ahead and edit that template and use it. It could be just a historical project-based learning assignment that you have. Formative assessment, this is Google Forms, ways to use it. Homework, summative assessment, data collection, collecting parent information. You noticed at the beginning of the webinar, what I had you put in that information was through Google Form. And you saw how quickly I was able to get feedback and really break it down. So when you talk about students who are bringing their own devices, or students, you have a one-to-one initiative in the classroom, and you paste that link or you send that link via Nearpod to everyone, and all of a sudden you've got instant responses. So it's a great way to collect data in a formative assessment type of way. Collaborative presentations, nightly homework pages. Again, this is presentations, so this is very similar. What you're seeing now is a Google presentation. Very similar to PowerPoint, but the great thing about it is it's web-based. You can insert video. You can share it with anyone. You can publish it anywhere. Data collection, classroom management, lots and lots of different. Google Spreadsheets. I use a lot of Google Spreadsheets for response to intervention data, grade books, formative assessment, data collection, classroom management, lots of different ways. When you use a Google form, for those of you who have not used Google Forms before, what actually happens to that data that gets put in a Google form is it spits it out to a Google spreadsheet that people don't see except for the person who created the form. So when you actually get that data, you can do whatever you want with it because it's in a spreadsheet. If you've ever used SurveyMonkey, very similar to that type of style. Google Drive, when you actually have a Google Apps Spread account or a regular Google account, your home base for all of the core Google apps is Google Drive. It's kind of like the house that the apps live in. But Google Drive in itself is very powerful because you can actually upload any type of file and store it. So if you've ever used Dropbox before, you can actually use Google Drive just like Dropbox to upload documents and share documents, upload pictures, upload videos. so here's just some ways that I've used it: video repository, document storage, document conversion, document management, cloud storage, even picture sharing. So lots of different ways to use that. One particular story is, you know, we use a lot of videos to show students who may struggle or may have special needs in terms of video modeling. And we want to be able to have our instructional assistants, our teachers, to be able to pull up that student's video on their iPad that they might have at any point in time, or from a desktop computer that they're at, to show that video to remind that student, here's what we're doing, here's the modeling for it. And so what you're seeing here is we took videos on an iPad or an iPhone, and we uploaded them to the Google Drive, and we shared them in a certain folder with just the instructional assistants that worked with a particular student, or the teachers that worked with that student. So then on the fly, we could quickly pull up that video and use it with that student. So again, this is just an example of how Google Drive works, and it almost looks like a YouTube video when you have it in Drive, but it's your own separate video, so you pop it up and play it. So now, that was the basics, right? You got to see what Google Docs looked like. Those of you who had no experience with Google Docs at all, hopefully that inspired you to at least start thinking about using it with kids or using it yourself. I'm going to share something now that might seem a little more advanced, but on the flip side of that, I hope this inspires you to think, wow. Because I remember the first time I started dabbling with Google Scripts and Google Docs, I was like, whoa, how does this all work? And then as I continued to just practice and play with it, it all made sense. And then I discovered some more this past summer in using it that opened up a whole new world for me in regards to thinking about how teachers can truly use this in the classroom to not only make their lives easier, but to engage students and connect students in a deeper way. So this is from a fellow Google Certified teacher, Jay Atwood. And if you don't know, don't follow Jay on Twitter, please do. It's @JayAtwood. He's kind of the scripts guru, one of the scripts gurus. He does a lot with Google Scripts. This is his drawing. The first script that I'm going to share with you is Doctopus, okay? And Doctopus is a script. So what you do is you create in Google Spreadsheets a simple class roster. And if you've never seen Google Spreadsheets, I'm just going to create one really quick so you can see how easy it is. This is a Google spreadsheet. It looks like an Excel spreadsheet. So again, you kind of put your headers here. It could be, you know, number, first name, last name, you know, whatever you want those to be for a simple class roster. Email, and all of a sudden you just fill that in, or you basically export it from whatever data management system you have, and you have a class roster that you can use throughout the year with your class and with Doctopus. Go back to Doctopus here. So what you do is once you install that script, you basically can send out a document to everyone. I'm going to demo this because that's the best way to do it. So I don't know, I didn't see in the chat. Did the video work last time? Were you able to see it? I'm going to try it again. So I hope you were able to see it and you were able to listen to it. Here's Doctopus.
The problem with practice for this hack: how can teachers harness all the awesomeness, ubiquitous access, and collaborative heaven made possible by Google Docs without creating a document management nightmare? The solution is a script.
So I'm going to pause it. If you've used Google Docs before, what he's talking about in regards to a nightmare is the fact that, you know, if you have a class of 60 kids and you have to share a document, that can be pretty laborious. Going to the document, creating a document for every student, or asking the student to share it back to you. If you have a template and you're having to enter those student names one by one, and the email addresses, it can be pretty laborious. And so we're talking about a solution to that. How do you share a templated document to everyone in class? And so all of a sudden, every single user has their own separate document to use. And when I first discovered this, and it's so simple to use, I was like, wow. And I so wish, because I've been a Google Docs user since the very beginning, and so, you know, it's changed a lot over the years. But back when I was teaching, I so wish I would have had this, because it would have saved so much time and effort. So here we go.
called Doctopus, which gives teachers the ability to auto-generate, pre-share, and manage grading and feedback on templated docs for group and individual projects. The Doctopus script is built in Google Apps script, so it plugs into a simple course roster in a Google spreadsheet. It requires all students to have Gmail or preferably Google Apps accounts with Docs enabled. Just search Doctopus with the apostrophe in the scripts gallery and install. The script provides a rich user interface that guides users through the setup process. 3 basic sharing options are available. Whole class will create a copy of a single doc that is shared by everyone on your roster. Project groups will share a separate doc shared by each project group. And the individual mode will create a separate doc for each student. If you want the rest of the class to be able to view the work of groups or individuals, just set the whole class access level to allow view only. Doctopus lets you share documents, spreadsheets, drawings, presentations, and PDFs. When set to group project mode, it even lets you start each group with a different template. This is great for creating the jigsaw approach to whole class presentations. Consider pasting the project rubric into your project templates so that you and the students can use it for reflection and feedback. Just beware, there's a small additional step involved if you want to share presentations or drawings. Our friend Docty can optionally notify students when you share with them and lets you personalize your note using any columns you have in the spreadsheet. After reviewing your sharing settings, the script adds 5 columns to your spreadsheet to assist the teacher in organizing, monitoring, and providing feedback to student work. Links to each doc are embedded directly in the sheet, and docs are automatically organized into a collection of your choosing, greatly improving the teacher's workflow in managing and assessing student project work. The teacher remains the owner of all docs, and students are pre-shared as editors or viewers depending on the chosen configuration. This cuts down enormously on the confusion and setup time involved in launching a student project in Google Docs. If a teacher wishes, they can remove all student editing rights at a submission deadline and restore those same rights if they want to engage in revision. Throughout the process, student authors retain viewing rights on their work. The Doctopus looks at student docs every 5 minutes and retrieves a timestamp for the last edit made on the doc. This allows teachers to closely monitor student progress and intervene where necessary. The teacher can also use the script to send emails that include grades, feedback, or any other personalized data one might store in a labeled column in the spreadsheet. I'm an educator, and I wrote this script for New Visions for...
Okay, so like I said, that gets a little advanced, but honestly, this is Andrew Stillman, another Google Certified teacher who does a lot of scripting. Like Andrew said, the great thing about this is if you've ever used Google Docs before, you know the hassle can be opening up docs if you have a project, grading, those types of things. This solves that problem because you have a link to every document in that spreadsheet for that project. So you simply click the link, open it up, access the student work. You're able to give feedback there. You see the feedback on the spreadsheet. It really is simple to use, and it's a fantastic solution. And when you load the script in there, it makes you follow every step by step. And I did a workshop on this summer, and one of the things that I told my participants was, you know the script is working, and you probably saw it in the video, when you have those extra columns added with the link to the document. You've not gone through the entire script until you have those columns to your spreadsheet added. So this is a great thing to kind of experiment with, and hopefully it inspires you because it really will save you an incredible amount of time. It makes managing documents even easier in Google Docs. I know our computer lab teacher who works with sees 700 plus students a week. This is something she uses all the time because it truly helps in regards to sharing templated documents out and being able to monitor those documents. These are just some other ones, and I know some people had mentioned these in the chat. G-Class folders is a great one to check out. Doc Appender and Form Mule. Those are just some other ones that you could potentially use. So let's talk about automating assessment, okay? this next one I'm going to show you is Goobric. So it works with Doctopus. So you have a project, let's say you have a templated Google document, you've shared it out to your class roster where every student now has that template in Doctopus, and now you want to be able to grade that project, that student work, with a rubric. So instead of just trying to type it out and paste it at the bottom of everyone's document, there's a simpler way to do that, and it's Goobric. So you kind of see this is the drawing that shows you just an overview of what that looks like, but until you see it, it's pretty phenomenal. So I'm hoping you're able to hear some of these videos. I'm going to play the video. If you can't hear it or it's lagging in your screen, feel free to pull it up yourself and follow along with me. Just make sure your phone is muted, please. I'm going to play some of this. I'm going to fast forward a little bit, but I want you to see and get inspired to potentially use this with your Google Docs in your classroom to connect learning.
In a previous screencast, I showed you how to install and run the Doctopus script into a Google spreadsheet so that you can distribute template files out to students and manage them. So this is the sheet that we were working with. I've got links to each of those individually shared documents out to my students. This was the original template that I sent out to them. Remember, I can do all the fancy things with Doctopus, like setting up an embargo so students can't edit it anymore, and you can give them comments and you can open it back up again to them to allow for revisions. Well, that's great for some basic comments, but what if you actually want to assess it using a rubric? Well, Doctopus has an additional feature. It's called a Goobric, as in attaching a Google rubric to it.
So you'll notice as Jay, this is Jay's video, Atwood, I mentioned earlier. You notice as Jay's demoing this, he discussed the fact that you have to have Doctopus installed with this particular project or template that you've shared out to your students. And once you do that, that script is installed, you're going to attach the Goobric, okay? And when we talk about scripts, that is actually in the script gallery. So you'll notice I'm in a spreadsheet and I go to Insert Script. And you can search for things like Doctopus. There's literally hundreds of different scripts, okay? Going back to video.
Pretty clever. So here is my video planner that I shared out. Remember, I'll show you the example. This is Jenny's example here, and she's actually showing people in her video how to use Doctopus. I've got a video rubric that I've created and the students are informed about, and this is just another simple Google spreadsheet. I've got my columns with the value, the numeric value across the top. Cell A1 needs to be blank, and down column A, I've got the different assessment things that I'm taking a look at, or standards, whatever you want. Filled in each of the boxes with the descriptors for each of those levels of each of the criteria, The nice thing about this Goobric script is you can actually use the same rubric on many projects. It doesn't actually make any changes to this Google spreadsheet at all, but it'll implement it here in a second. So in order to make Goobric work, you need to install an extension into Chrome. So if you go to your Chrome web...
I'm going to talk about Chrome later, but if you're not using Chrome, I highly suggest you do. It's Google's browser. And so he's going to go to the Chrome website. So you have to use Chrome with this. He's going to install Google Chrome, or he's going to install Goobric as an extension, okay? And so we're going to fast forward right here. It's going to show you how this works now.
Just this particular assignment. So I go here to attach Goobric. Okay. It gives me some instructions here. I install the Goobric extension. I've already done that actually. You have to authorize Goobric in order to run. It pops up a new little window. Once you get a confirmation message, you can just go ahead and close that. Gives you some information here on what your rubric should be formatted as, or what it should look like, and you select your rubric. This will take you to...
So it's going to pull from your Google spreadsheet so you can find your rubric. Here's the good news. If your rubric is not written correctly in regards to Goobric being able to recognize it, it will ask you to fix it. So don't worry. That happened to me the first time when I was playing around with this script. I had not, made the columns the way it should be, and so it just asked me to fix it, made a couple changes, and it was able to take it.
To your drive, and you can search for it oops, if I spell it right, video rubric. That's the one that I want to use. It's going to do a little analysis to make sure everything's okay. It may tell you that something is wrong. We've done some work here on our spreadsheet. It's added some extra stuff.
So he's installed it. Now he has the actual script there.
Take a look down here at the bottom. It's got rubric scores. This is going to be a log file, basically. And what's really cool, it's gone through and it's read my rubric, and here are those headings along the column. I've got my 4 different criteria that I'm looking at. It's also got a place for commenting and those types of things. So it keeps track of that. Back on sheet 1, it added some more columns as well, and this is where it's going to have 1 row for each student, and it's going to keep those scores. Those scores are going to be reflected in both places. So I've gone through again, and I've attached my rubric. Everything is ready to go, and now I can go through and start to grade my assignments. So let's open up Jenny's project. Now, just to be clear, Jenny can't do this. This has to be done from one of the teachers that you've defined. You can see up here at the right end of the Omni box, there is the little rubric icon. When you click on this, it's going to look for the rubric that's been associated with this particular project. And here we go. So now I've got my different values across the top. I've got those explanations or those.
So what you're going to see, Jay is actually grading this rubric right there in the Google Doc, specifically for that assignment. When I first saw this, it blew my mind away. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Because, you think about when we talk about a paperless classroom, forget about bringing all your journals home and having a rubric for those journals, right? You can have that rubric right there with Google Docs and using Gubrick and Doctopus. And so you're going to see Jay's going to say that basically, you can put your comments in, your scores in. It highlights the actual rubric. You submit it. Now, the key is you have to submit the rubric, because if you leave the actual rubric without hitting submit, it will lose the scores. Now, once you've submitted, it keeps the scores there. And the best part about it, too, is it actually, and you'll kind of see right there as he just clicks and highlights those, it actually will paste the rubric at the bottom of that student's project, okay? So let me show you what this looks like from an actual project, if I can find it. Okay, so this is just a close reading template that I have, and you'll notice, remember, here's the Gubrick icon. So I shared this via Doctopus as an example. I've installed Gubrick. I've associated a rubric with this project, so it knows to look it up. So when I click my Gubrick extension, it's going to look for the associated rubric. And there's the rubric. Okay, I've already graded this assignment, and so those are already in there. I can change that grade if I want to. Okay, I just had a couple criteria that I put in this one. I can add comments down here, and I can submit and paste to the document. It will also email the rubric and the score to the student. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down so you see what that's like after you hit submit. So there it is at the bottom of that particular one. And if I update it, it's going to show me an updated score with a timestamp if I change that and I want them to see both. So again, I hope that, that's pretty inspirational if you've never seen that again. I remember, again, the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, that is awesome. And so that's Gubrick, so Doctopus and Gubrick. A couple other particular ones you might want to check out. One that script that I've used before when I first started experimenting with them a couple years ago. This particular blog post, and the link is there, will take you to a step-by-step script that you can run and customize on your own. So it's a great way to start dabbling with it also. Okay, so let's talk about some other things you can connect with. How about Google Sites? If you've ever used Google Sites before, I'm just going to speak briefly on them. Google Sites gives you a web presence. It gives you the ability to communicate and collaborate in an audience and ability to be relevant. And I can tell you it's the easiest web making tool I've ever seen. And if 4th graders and 3rd graders can use this, surely you can too. And so this is just a simple design that you see. Again, simple web hosting. If you've ever used Front Page back in the day, right, you might remember trying to do that way back in the day. We had first started doing teacher web pages and things like that, and man, there was just so much. There was actual coding we had to do, right? No longer do we have to do that coding because you can literally click. In a few clicks, you have a website. And the thing that I love about Google Sites the most is it's truly integrated with all of your Google products. So simply insert a form from your Google Forms. You just click Insert, Form, a document, Insert, Document, and it's pulling up everything from your Google Drive. So it's the one thing I really love about using Google Sites. I think design's important. I'm kind of a design fanatic. They have tons of great themes that you can choose from and lots of different templates. In the actual agenda, I've provided a couple of templates I'll talk about in a minute. On designs, this is new within the last year also. And another thing I love about Google is, unlike using Microsoft products where you have to wait till the next edition comes out and then you have to figure out if it's going to work, just like on my actual Windows computer when I upgraded to Windows 8, everything seemed to break. Google updates products overnight because they know the update is going to be better for everyone. And then all of a sudden you have that update free of charge, right? And so they're constantly updating their products. So in actual Google Sites now, you can choose different colors for different parts of the layout. You can choose different layouts, and you have access to 400 different web fonts that you can use. This is my old classroom page from years ago when I was teaching and I first started using Google Sites. It's pretty simple, but you can see just how you can customize your navigation. I think I put the link in the agenda if you want to check out just a simple design that works really easily to communicate to parents. But this really became, for me, a home for my students and a home for my parents. And I'm a firm believer in proactive communication, so this really serves as a place to communicate with various stakeholders that you have as a teacher. You can customize learning. So this is a huge topic right now, right? How do I customize learning for my students? Well, Google Sites is a fantastic answer to that question because you can truly create a site for every student if you wanted to put content on there that was just there for that student. So let's talk about Google Earth and Google Maps. But before I get to that, I also, in the actual agenda, there was a couple links to two templates that someone on the Google Certified Teacher community shared recently. Great idea for web portfolios with Common Core. And I know we're on a pause with the state on that right now, but as you look at implementing Common Core, I thought these were two great Google Sites templates that you might consider looking at for your particular class. So.
Chris, can I interrupt for a second?
Okay, so let's talk about Google Earth. I saw that my volume went down. Is that better? I'll talk a little louder.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully that's better. Connecting with Google Earth and Google Maps. Let's talk about what that actually looks like. Just briefly, how many of you have ever used Google Lit Trips? Well, if you've never seen Google Lit Trips, they're actually trips that have been designed in Google Earth that you can download them for different books, and you can actually travel through the book virtually around the different settings and things that take place. And I actually met the guy that designed this website. He's a Google Certified Teacher. He's a retired teacher, and he is very particular. His name's Jerome Berg. He's very particular about what he accepts in this community. He wants only the highest quality lit trips available, and so they're constantly updating the site. It's become huge. He never expected the response that he's gotten from the community, but they are fantastic, and you download what's called a KMZ file. That file will open up in Google Earth and show all the different layers and different things that you need for that particular book to make that happen. I put the link for that and also this, Google Maps and Education. And when you talk about Google Maps in education, people don't think to use it very much. But this is the home page of resources for Google Maps in education. And it's pretty amazing, but Street View has gotten so much better. And I put a link to a video that was posted just yesterday on the Google Maps blog that might bring you to tears a little bit. It's an inspiring story about someone who used Street View to actually find his home parents. He was adopted from India. It truly is amazing. These are just different things. These are the wonders, different wonders around the world and monuments that you can actually travel via Street View, and you get to actually bring that up. And this really brings the world to life in classrooms. So I know many of you have used this before, but I think oftentimes we forget about how well we can use this to integrate curriculum in the classroom. So that is a little bit about maps and education, and a little bit about Google Earth. Google Chrome. How many of you are Chrome users? Chrome users out there? Hopefully. Google Chrome, I said earlier, is the browser of choice for me. And if you don't have Google Chrome, hopefully today you download it and start using it. Why? Well, need I say more, right? It's much faster, and you can truly, truly, truly personalize the web for yourself. Not going to play this video, but boy, I love it. It's a minute long, and it's hilarious. But you can, the web is what you make of it, right? So you'll notice this is just a snapshot of my Google Chrome. You've got an omnibar, tabs, bookmarks, extensions. I'm going to share a few extensions that are my personal favorite. Maybe you've heard about them, maybe you haven't. TweetDeck, that's my go-to Twitter app. Powtoon. Powtoon is an actual app that you can download and connect with your Google Drive account, and it's really cool. I've started to play around with this one more. Animated presentations, you can actually save it to your Google Drive. All the different Google apps you can download is
Chris, oh, it just says he just got disconnected, so we'll give him just a few seconds to connect back to us. In the meantime, I will go ahead and share the badge info. For those of you who are interested in badges, the Connected Educator Month is providing badges for participating events for this month. And so the website to go to get your badge, I just shared that. And the badge code I am going to include right here. So if you are interested in getting your badge, those are the steps that you'll need to go through to do
Hello. That. Am I back?
You're back. Go ahead,
Okay,
Chris.
sorry, I don't know what happened. It just it stopped. So, all right. I'm going to go through. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Let me turn this up a little bit and I'll go through. Okay, so a few more apps. I apologize that happened. Hangout Launcher. You can actually leave voice comments for Google Docs. WeVideo is a free video editing service. And Pixlr Editor is kind of like your free online Photoshop editor. And these are all available in the Chrome Web Store. SlideRocket EDU, just another presentation type of software, which I do think they might be retiring soon, so you might want to hold off on downloading that one. Lucidchart is one I'm using a lot more lately. It's fantastic, and actually just Google Lucidchart for educators. You get a free pro account. It's fantastic. Yeah, SlideRocket's gone. I figured it was on its way out. Stitcher, I love to listen to podcasts. I consider myself a lifelong learner. Stitcher has all your podcasts. You can pull them up in Google Chrome and use them. A graphing calculator, I figure that's good for some people who are into that math stuff. Again, you can connect lots of different apps to your Google Drive account, which is super cool because you can save those documents and open them up on your Google Drive. Here's some extensions. Announceify, launch a Google Hangout, Hangouts for Google. You can search by image. These are just some of my personal favorites. Watchdog, you can actually connect with your Google Docs and see what documents are being edited. A timer. The Sexy Undo Close tab, which is great because it's just a, when you close a tab in Google Chrome and you want to pull it up really quick because maybe you accidentally changed it, you just install this extension, drop it down, and it shows you all your recently closed tabs. Clearly removes all ads from websites so you can read things easier. Tab Cloud, allows you to save a group of tabs. QuietTube removes all ads from YouTube. Bit.ly is my go-to shortener. They have a great extension. And then EasyBib Tools is great because if you're doing research, kids can actually get quotes on EasyBib for bibliographies and cited resources. So these are other extensions to try. I'm not going to go through all of them. The Mobo presentation remote is great for actually using your phone to change slides with Google presentations. Eyedropper, lots of great stuff, but check it out. Those are some good ones to check out for sure. These are just certain suggestions for keyboard shortcuts in Chrome. And you can actually have multiple accounts. I have different accounts in Google Chrome, some that I just open up for certain blogging things at school that have everything I need right there. So quick shortcuts again with your keyboard. I'm a big keyboard shortcut thing. So, okay, 2 more quick things, and I know we're running close to the end of time, so I want to go through these and give you some other resources to take away. We talked about connecting. It's Connected Educator Month, right? If you've not been on Google+, Google+ is basically Google's social network to connect with different communities and different educators. And so you can upload your pictures, you can share, you can like. I love this 5,000 times more than Facebook. I still use Facebook because that's where most of my social friends hang out, but I've started to create a PLN on Google+, and it's so much fun to actually use it. So it's a great one to check out if you've never used Google+. And Google Hangouts, I'm going to talk a little bit about those. Again, PLNs, that's where the energized find and feel each other. So it's a great thing to be connected to as many social networks as you can. And as you know, Cheryl, New Spawn Beach, the Connected Educator, positive lasting change in schools begins with understanding the possibilities inherent in small but powerful conversations about learning. So really that's what we're talking about, is connecting in a deeper way through those. This video is awesome if you've never seen it before, and I've actually tried to join this. They have virtual star hangouts where people hook up their telescopes to Google Hangout, and they actually show their backyard telescopes and what they're showing, like close-ups of the moon and Jupiter. It's a lot of fun to actually join those and get to see something you may never get to see. Same thing with different places. There's virtual field trips that you can access through Google+ and Google Hangouts. This particular video shows you how the Seattle Aquarium actually had lots of different schools join them on a Google Hangout for a virtual field trip. How do you know those are going on? I get that question a lot. Well, follow people on Google+. Here's 50 circles to follow, and if you know of like the zoo and other places that you know have a Google+ account, follow them, and as they share maybe an event happening on a Google Hangouts, you can join that event as a field trip if you wanted to, or a virtual field trip. So Education on Air, Google Hangouts, Education on Air, and I put the link in the agenda for that. This actually has lots of different resources for how to use Google Hangouts in education. And there's also past recordings of people sharing, Hangouts of people sharing about Google apps. And so these are awesome ones to kind of check out and watch to grow your own personal knowledge. So more ideas. Let's talk just a few more. I promise I'm almost done. GCTs. Follow this hashtag on Twitter to get lots of great resources. Google CT. That's as we Google Certified Teachers have ideas and things that we want to share, we'll put them under that hashtag. More ideas from GCTs. Google Educast. Please follow the Google Educast. It's on EdReach. It's a weekly show that Google Certified Teachers actually join and have a live hangout. I'm proud to say that I was one of the original people on that show many, many years ago, and so it's grown so much since then, but it's really a fantastic resource. Also, I know we have a Pinterest page through the DOE that has lots of great links and ideas to use Google Apps in the classroom. So that's it. That's all I have for today, and I think I'm right on time at about 5 o'clock. I'm right at about 45 minutes. Much more to share, but that's all the time we have for today. So at this point in time, I'll take questions that maybe we've collected throughout. So.
Okay, we did have a couple of questions. One was specific to rubric. It was, if you scroll down in the document, does the rubric minimize or does it stay on top, or what happens to it?
Yeah, I believe the most recent rubric is going to be at the bottom, so it's kind of timestamped. So if you, let's say you go in and change a score, it'll paste the most recent rubric at the bottom so that you see kind of the changes in the rubric as it goes on. Does that make sense? It doesn't minimize. It's always in that document once you submit it.
Okay. Another question was, is there a charge for anything that you showed us today?
Nope, it's all absolutely free.
That's what I figured, but I thought I would let you offer that information.
Absolutely. Now, some will say that, you know, with Google Apps for Ed, you know, when we talk about SIPA and COPPA and all the different regulations we have to follow as districts, you know, you could choose to turn off Gmail, which makes a big difference in complying with those certain regulations, and obviously your school district is in charge of how you do that. But if you do turn on Gmail, you know, one of the requirements for many of those laws is archiving. So Google does have archiving services that they will charge for, and so if you want that piece or want to use that piece to a certain degree, you might look into those certain options. But in regards to the tools that I shared today, they're all 100% free. So.
Okay, and one participant asked, what is the difference between a script and an app for education?
Yeah, apps for education is just describing, you know, all of the different Google apps that are offered to schools under a package called Google Apps for Education. So your district actually has to sign up to be a Google Apps for Ed school. And if you look in the first few links on the agenda, I have some general information and links to actual pages where you can sign up to do that. And that's something that your district administrators would make the decision on, because it's kind of a switch to maybe if you've never done that before. A script is something that you load into a spreadsheet to run certain functions. So that works in conjunction with Google Spreadsheets and Google Docs.
Okay, and speaking of the agenda, I just shared the link again, but somebody asked if that agenda will be available for a while. Is that document going to go anywhere?
Yes, it will not expire. The slides won't expire. So in everything that I shared, I linked in the slides too. So when you click pictures in the slides, it will actually take you to where you need to go to. So.
Okay. And it looks like Tom was the one who had the question about Gubrick, and he said, so I think he's talking about how you were talking about it updating, and he said as you're grading, but not when you're done. I'm not sure.
Yeah, when you use Gubrick, you have to actually hit submit for the grades to take effect. And when you click outside of the rubric, it will go away. It will minimize. So you want to keep it open if you're actually grading there. But you have to hit submit for it to actually be submitted within the document. And I think Tom had a question too about G-Class Hub, if Doctopus was now included in that. And I believe it is, Tom. Andrew Stillman is the creator of all those scripts, and he is constantly updating them. And Andrew does a good job of posting those updates and actually looks for beta testers on his Google Plus page. And I don't have that link right now. I could certainly give it for later. But if you follow Andrew on Google Plus, lots of great updates on what he's doing with his scripts. And the video I showed of Doctopus was one of the first original versions of Doctopus. It continues to get better. So, Tom, I've not used G-Class Hub recently, but I would assume that Andrew has probably embedded that within G-Class Hub, because it does work well with G-Class folders also.
Okay, and one question that we had toward the beginning was, you talked about the storage. Is storage for Gmail separate from your storage that you have for documents, or is that all in the same?
That's a good question. It's all in the same. It's shared. I will tell you that unless you're emailing, giant attachments, 30 gigabytes still goes a really long way. We don't use Gmail here as a Google Apps for Ed. So, yeah, you can purchase more storage if you want, but I got to tell you, 30 gigs per user is quite a bit. Even though it's shared across all apps, it's still a lot of storage. It goes a long way.
Okay, well, those were all of the questions that I had. I'm going to send out the badge information again, just in case anybody missed that. They are giving out badges for Connected Educator Month projects, so if you are interested in that. I'll just give everybody just another quick few seconds if there are any last questions that you have. I am going to, like I said, I will send out PGP documentation emails to everybody in the next few days who participated. So you will all get that. And I don't see any last questions coming in. So, Chris, was there anything that you wanted to close with?
Yeah, I'll send this out and I'll put it in probably on my blog and maybe in our Pinterest page, and I'll certainly put it on Twitter. But there is, I just recently got this email that Indiana is having its first Google Apps Summit. It's part of the Google Apps for Education Midwest Summit. And I don't have the dates in my mind off the top of my head. It's down in Evansville, I do know that. But it is, you do have to pay to attend it, but I can tell you it's a quality day of learning with fellow Google Certified teachers that travel around and do this all the time. So it would be well worth your time if you want to join that summit in Evansville, and I believe it's around somewhere in February, I think. Yes, thank you. That's when I put that. So.
Yes, and that's Michelle.
No, thanks for joining. This was fun. So.
Good, and we are hoping to have a Google event in Indy. We'll see where that goes. And one last note, Andy Stewart said that native Google documents do not subtract from your storage space.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something to keep in mind as you utilize Google Apps and Google Docs. So
yeah, that 30 gigs goes a long way. So.
Good. All righty. Well, Chris, thank you so much again for sharing all of your great knowledge about Google Apps with us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, and thank you everybody for participating, and have a great evening. Good night.